Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every week we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content, help you answer the question, in what new way will Warner Brothers Discovery anger the entire filmmaking industry this week? Excited to find out. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today, Dylan Blight.
I'm not.
No. You don't know? Do you want to find out how they pissed, every single segment of the industry off after changing the credits of every single person involved in their content on Max, the new version of HBO, as creators? Crazy.
They should just hyperlink their TikTok accounts or something in each of them.
Yeah. Instead of names, it's just Twitter handles.
Yeah.
Crazy. On today's episode, we'll be talking about what's in our West Tree, covering a little bit of film news, giving thumbs to trailers, giving you this week's top 3. First, before we start, we've got a couple of competitions running over at explosionnetwork.com. If you go over to the website right now, you can enter 2 giveaways to win double passes to see the movies Sweet As and You Hurt My Feelings. Preferably, if you're listening to this as it releases, you may still have a chance on one of them. But head over to explosion.com or check out the show notes below.
Sweet As has when this posts, very short time left. You Hurt My Feelings will have a week and a half.
Yeah.
So you're good there.
Yeah. So get in quick. But yeah, let's jump into what's in our watch history. Dylan, you watched the first few episodes of the new Disney Plus series, The Clearing.
I have. I gave it a score, which I can't remember in my review, but it was probably a good one. So The Clearing is based on this. Well, the thing is, so it's based on a book, but the book sort of takes the true life Australian story and renames characters and stuff like that. So it's based on a book which is based on a true story, which is changed old names and stuff like that. So that's what we're dealing with here. But it's, and then I don't think it's supposed to be a 1-for-1 anyway. But it's based on the cult known as the Family, which was sort of a religious group that had a leader who they basically all viewed as the second coming of Jesus Christ or some weird shit like that. Who the members of the church / cult, whatever you want to call it, would donate their kids and whatever else to this one person, this one woman, and then all the kids would have their hair dyed blonde because the woman's blonde, and it's all very fucking weird, to put it bluntly. I don't think there's any way around how weird it is. If you just do any sort of quick Google search about the true story, it's well, that's fucked up. And fittingly, the show, The Clearing, is not exactly plays it as all fun and games. It's very much this is a dark story with a lot of different undertones of abuse and stuff that's happening, and the part that makes this series interesting is it's sort of exploring the long-term effects. And I'm not sure if this is based on any real particulars or person from the real life family or anything like that. I think this was when we get into the fiction of the book and thus the TV series itself. But so the show jumps backwards and forwards in time, and you're basically dealing with one character who is I don't know how much she's supposed to be, but she's a kid in the family, part of the family. And then you've got her as a older character, played by I can't find her name, but anyway, she is Teresa Palmer. So she's the older version of this character, and you don't really know, she doesn't really mention it and stuff like that, but whenever we see the older version of the character, she's very protective of her child. She sees a van drive past and she's fucking straight on on edge. Like there's something about that van that's like triggering for her and all these sorts of things. So at least in the first 2 episodes, the clearing is both exploring the family, this real life thing, plus then asking a question of, okay, well, if someone escapes this and they grow up, what are they like? What becomes of someone with that amount of, psychological abuse and damage done to them? How do they integrate themselves back into society, if at all? How would someone like that, who then has their own kid, their own family, how would they deal with things from that point on? So I really, really like the first 2 episodes, and I'm definitely keen to watch the rest of it. I think as far as Disney's first fully their first fully scripted series, because they've done like those football ones and whatever else, this for Australia, I just think it's sort of, they're like, fuck it, let's just go for like the darkest subject material we could greenlight. And
well, to be fair, it's a Hulu show over in America, so it's not
still
the star.
Yes, but it is still their first, the Disney Hulu, whatever. It's still their first, like as far as funding goes, the first scripted one they've done for the platform there. And it's part of the star here. But it's still weird to open the Disney app and put this on. Like. Yes, check it out. I suggest checking it out. I gave it an 8. I checked.
Okay. You also watched the upcoming Prime Video Australian series Deadloch. We talked about the trailer about a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, so I've watched the first 6 episodes of this. I haven't got a review up yet. My life is a never-ending list of things I run out of time to do, but it should be up before the series starts this week. I think there's 2. I think the series is 8 episodes, so I'm probably like 2 off.
Yeah,
having watched it all, which is cool. I really, really like it. I think it's gonna hit. It's definitely very Australian, which is for it's on Prime Video, and I definitely feel like it's going to hit for a certain audience, of which I would say I'm part of. It starts very silly. So the premise for this show, if you can't remember how our discussion went for it when we talked about trailer, is you've got this small middle of buttfuck nowhere Tasmanian town. So maybe I'm biased because it's set in Tasmania. The way they talk about it, I believe it's supposed to be in the southern area of the state, sort of towards Hobart way. A body is found on a beach. A investigation begins by the local constable or whatever, the lieutenant, I don't know, whatever the title is, and a detective is sent down from Darwin or somewhere, like WA way is where the other characters comes down, and that character is just really over the top. She comes down, she's wearing a button up, fucking like ready to go. Like she comes from middle of heat. WA, it's always fucking hot. She's wearing flip flops. She doesn't wear anything but flip flops. it's meanwhile, consistently complaining. She's like, I never knew it was this cold in Sydney. And then a character reminds her that she's actually in Tasmania. Like there's all sorts of there's like all these weird bits and things going on with this character. And for the first, like I would say 3 episodes, the show, it's sort of hard to get a vibe for how serious you're supposed to take the actual case that's happening, because there's so many characters. The main character, like constable or whatever it is from the local police department, that character's played straight down the middle. That's a serious character who is dealing with trying to solve this murder case, dealing with this absolutely unhelpful detective that's been sent down. Meanwhile, she's got her, I think they're married, her wife is sort of constantly trying to get it off this case for a reason that's eventually divulged into, and then all these other factors that are happening around town, I guess, without going into other things. And then you've got this absolutely ridiculous character. But I'd say by the time you get to like the 3rd or 4th episode, they do start introducing some things that help make that detective who's come down into more of an actual character and explaining why she's so over the top a little bit, why she wanted to solve this case the easiest way possible and just leave this town straight away, and like what's happened in her past and stuff like that. And then as more bodies start turning up, the case itself is actually quite interesting as far as like a murder mystery thing, like what's going on. I'm keen to see how it all plays out. I'm pretty sure I know like who we're at this point, but you know, you never know with these sorts of things. But yeah, lots of very Australian humor jokes, a lot of straight up, I would say, Tassie jokes as well, including one sequence about going the wrong direction to Hobart that made me laugh quite a bit. So yeah, I rate it. I'm definitely very keen. I think I binged the majority of it the other day. I was like going to watch 2, and then I was like, fuck, I want to see what happens next. And I just kept going through them. So that's a good sign.
Yeah. So it's going to be a high rated show in Tasmania. Yeah.
Fuck, I hope so. I'm gonna be telling people like, come on, support the. They filmed it in Victoria, but you know it's set here. They set here. They say Tassie.
They didn't actually want to come here. But, they make jokes about.
Yeah. But who does? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Right. Then you've also got a review up at explosionhour.com for Influencer, a new film coming to Shudder.
Yeah, I think it's out. Yeah, it should be out by now. I think that's how that fell. Influencer was really good. So this is a horror movie from Curtis David Harder. I've reviewed his other film Spiral that came out a couple of years ago, not the Saw film, but the other film that was called Spiral that came to Shudder as well. So that makes it a bit confusing, but it's hard to talk about this movie without spoiling it, and I don't want to because I actually quite enjoyed it. But the setup, I thought this movie was going to be shit, right? So I looked at the title, Influencer, see the general setup, you know, like a blonde girl in trailer taking pictures, you know, like, I'm like, yeah, okay, this is going to be the typical, some fucking influencer is a dumb idiot and gets herself killed or something like that or whatever else. I went into it sort of completely expecting it to be bad, and got turned around the other way because it just sort of subverted all of my expectations for the way the film would play out. So it's, without spoiling it, you've got this main character, the titular influencer, I guess, which is Madison. She's on holiday in Thailand by herself. She was supposed to be there with her boyfriend, Ryan, but he doesn't show up for, I don't know, he's off being his own fuckhead self in a different place or something like that. The guy's a bit of a dickhead. And then Madison is, you know, in this beautiful country she's never been to, beautiful place. And she's spending the majority of the time, of course, she's taking pictures by the pool and stuff at the hotel. And, you know, the movie starts with her doing these scenes where she's, you know, recording, being like, oh, I just want to get out. And, you know, it's so good to be able to explore get new scenes and taste of life. It's like, you're just at a hotel. You could probably be at the exact same fucking hotel in America or wherever. You know, it doesn't really matter. Then she meets this character played by Cassandra Nord, called CW, and she begins taking her around, you know, actually letting her explore this place properly, like getting out into the town, like going out on trips on a bike and all this sort of stuff. And from there, the movie goes in some really interesting directions between the two of these characters. And I would say easily Cassandra Nord is the standout from this movie. She is just like, she becomes a real fucking presence. Like every scene she's in, she just pulls away from literally everyone else that's in it. So going to be very keen to see what she has coming up. So would highly suggest watching it. It's a horror movie Ash could watch, which means that there's actually not much, like there's it's a thriller. It's not really a horror movie. Yeah. It's more of a mystery thriller sort of thing. So definitely falls in the reign of, if Ash can watch it, you probably can too.
Not in trails.
Sorry?
Not in trails.
No, there's no horrible gory things or stuff like that. It's just, yeah, it's more definitely in the line of just a mystery thriller sort of thing. And I would suggest watching it. Definitely one of the best things that's come to. Shudder's had a few good things so far this year, but here's another one.
Awesome. So I watched the finale to Succession. You know, it released on binge, big hour and a half long final episode, concluding the series, figuring out who's going to be the final CEO of Waystar Royco. And yeah, just like the rest of the series, it played out perfectly, hitting a lot of the themes of power and the lust for power and power struggles and family and um, yeah, obviously, we've had it definitely felt like a perfect ending to this Shakespearean tragedy of these terrible people kind of ending up in a position uh, that they deserve to be in, and is very fitting. I think Succession obviously caught the public zeitgeist, a show that maybe a lot of people wouldn't have expected too, but it is so perfectly written. Just some fantastic performances. This season has been really well put together. Alexander Skarsgård, really enjoyable, kind of filling the void of another actor who left earlier in the season. Um, and yeah, without going into spoilers, hard to talk about, but I've been thoroughly enjoyed this season. Listening to other people talk about this season, reading, catching up with all the different people's recaps and theories, and um, yeah, it's just been a real fun time. I'm excited for the day in the future when we're super rich and you don't have to do anything else and you can finally get around to watching this series when time is infinite. Uh,
Time is infinite.
um, but yeah, I think it is a fantastic show. It ends really, really well. Um, yeah, there might be like one or two moments that I could kind of nitpick. There's certain moments that kind of feel like they come out of left field a little bit, or like call back to information that hasn't been addressed in several seasons. Um, but yeah, it's such a fantastic show. Incredibly well shot, great performances by everyone across the cast. And if yeah, it's a very fitting ending to this family. Um, yeah, just the way it plays with your emotions, like from the highs to the lows through this crazy episode. Yeah, it fantastic show. You should all be watching Succession, especially now that it's finished. If you haven't been spoiled, because that's the thing. Everybody's been talking about it on Twitter, tweeting memes and posts about who, in quotes, won and that kind of stuff. So,
I've
uh,
seen a lot of tweets and I still have no idea what's going on because I just feel like out of context, a lot of them, like I've seen pictures and stuff. I'm like, I know what this means. Like,
who's this dude? Yeah. So yeah, watch Succession on binge. Dylan, you watched the final episode of this season of Yellow Jackets. What did you think of the season?
yeah, so Yellow Jackets this season, I would say it wasn't as good as the first season. Still very enjoyable, but they've done the season 2 thing of sticking a lot of characters in one place for a lot of the show, which I don't usually love. So that happened. What it's sort of weird to say because so in the of course last season they the kids in the 80s timeline they crashed this plane, they land in the middle of butt fuck nowhere. Now that they're trying to survive. And what happens in this season, or what happened at the end of last season, they discover a cabin and they're like, cool, we can stay in this cabin. It's a place to hold up or whatever. And winter's coming. Now, this entire season, every time we flash back to them, it's winter. So that does mean the majority of the time we spent with the kids, I say kids, they're teenagers, but they're in this cabin. And I sort of got sick of the cabin. So I'm thankful that we'll events of the show have, I know they're leaving the cabin next season, so that's good. And then in the main adult timeline, the all the storylines sort of converged with our all of our adult characters getting together into one location in the last couple episodes, which was good. And you knew that the show was probably always going to build towards that, given that in the first season you only had three of the, I guess, the adult characters interacting. They teased another character, adult version of a character who survived the coming back, showing up in this season, which they do, and another one as well. So, and then they're basically dealing with the whole Shauna's character, adult character, is just dealing with the fact that last season she murdered a man. So a lot of this season is them trying to cover that up while they've got the police trying to track her down or potentially they think they know it's her. So dealing with that. What the fuck and how the fuck they survive out there, and what, like, if the question consistently in this show is there actually any supernatural shit going on, or is it all in there? They're going crazy out there in the woods heads, is still being asked as we come into this, as we end the second season. But I'm definitely keen to see where the third season goes, although I am feeling like, even though we already knew that when they announced the second season that the third season was coming, at least where the way this one ends, I'm like, okay, maybe like 3-4 seasons, but please, for the love of everything lost, don't try and stretch this out just for the sake of it, because like the consistent flashing back to the kids, like at some point they're going to run out of ways for me to, I guess, believe that like they survive this long with these certain conditions and elements, and like I can only go so far with the lengths of my believability, but yeah.
All right. So you're looking forward to the theoretical third season?
I mean, yes, the third season's happening. It's
Third
just
season
the
that they
writers'
wrote
strike.
one day show. One day.
Yeah.
All right. So I watched American Born Chinese, the new Disney Plus series, about based on the graphic novel by Jin Lun Yang. Follows a teenager called Jin, who's the son of Chinese immigrants, who's just trying to fit in at school, starting the 10th grade, just wants to be a regular kid, join the soccer team, go about his day. But on the first day of school, he gets introduced to Wei Chen, a transfer student who's his exchange student who he is made to look after. It turns out Wei Chen is not actually a transfer student, but the son of Sun Wukong, who people would probably know as the Monkey King, who has come to Earth to find the fourth scroll, that in the hopes that will stop a war being waged in heaven. So, it's a bunch of Chinese mythology tied in with a bunch of a classic, coming of age kind of story. I really enjoyed it. I think it's very enjoyable. It definitely is a TV show in that, there's some special effects in that, and it's not like super impressive. But that kind of plays into some of the charm of it. It definitely taking influence from something like like Monkey, like the old classic TV series about Sun Wukong, that played in, like, I want to say the 70s. But it definitely has that Chinese mythology kind of look to it, which is kind of interesting. You do get a couple like fantastical characters and people from Chinese mythology. There's a lot of fight scenes and that kind of stuff. It's very enjoyable. It does. I feel like it takes maybe a little bit too long to get Gene into the Chinese mythology stuff. Like, for like maybe 1 or 2 episodes, he's kind of separate to what Wei Chin is trying to deal with. I really enjoyed it. I think there's some really fantastic performances. Michelle Yeoh plays Guan Yin, who's like serves as like a mentor to Wei Chin. And then interestingly, because obviously it was a bit, it's kind of advertised as it's Michelle Yeoh and Kui Hu Kwan, and they're both in this TV show. Kui Hu Kwan plays a former actor in this like 70s sitcom called Beyond Repair. Is playing like slightly problematic Asian character, and really Kui Hu Kwan's kind of playing himself, where he's like, I was in this show, I was a big star at the time, and then I kind of quit acting, and then it's kind of weird.
In a movie he won a bunch of awards for, or?
No.
Okay.
But he has this like reunion. There's a reunion special that he appears on, and he gives like almost an identical speech to the ones he's been giving during the entire press tour. or like the entire award season, which is kind of weird. But yeah, he's fantastic as well, and like it's very silly. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Hopefully, people watch it because I would like a second season. So, yeah, check out American Born Chinese. Also, watch the first 3 episodes of Platonic, which is the new Apple TV series starring Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne, in which Rose Byrne plays Sylvia, a stay-at-home mum of 3, and Will plays her former best friend, who runs a bar, is a brewmaster. They used to be like best friends all through high school, but when Will married his now ex-wife, they kind of had a falling out and they kind of went their separate ways. But after Sylvia learns that he got the divorce, she reaches out and they kind of reconnect. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because they kind of bring out like the worst of each other, or they kind of regress to like their college or like messy versions of themselves. Yeah, Sylvia's dealing with, she's at that transition period where the kids are she's been the stay-at-home mum for the last 13 years, not working as after being a lawyer. She's kind of missing it, but she's kind of in that mess period where she's like, these kids are like moving on and wanting to be independent and don't really need me as much. Like, what do I do with my life? And Will's there to kind of bring her back to her youth, I guess, kind of, and bring out like the childish element of herself. At one point, she meets her husband's boss, who constantly throughout the episode is constantly forgetting her name. So he's got this like big speech that he needs to give. So she steals the speech and is like, "I'll give you 3 guesses to come up with my name. Otherwise, I'm destroying your speech." And he fails, so she proceeds to eat the speech. As you do.
Sure.
It's fun. It's definitely, Rose Byrne, Seth Rogen, a great chemistry, obviously, from the Neighbours films. And the show is definitely built on that. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's only 3 episodes so far. Definitely the similar pattern to a lot of these Apple TV series of, give you a good first dose and then obviously drop off week by week. But yeah, I think it's really fun. So check that out. And then I've also watched Animal Control, which is a series that dropped on Binge. I believe it was airing on Fox in America, starring Joel McHale, in which it follows a group of workers at Animal Control. They go around like dealing with different animal issues around the city of Seattle. It's a fine sitcom. It's not going to blow anybody's socks off. It's not hilarious in any way. It's just enjoyable enough. John McHale plays kind of a version of his community role, I guess.
I was going to say Joel McHale plays Joel McHale.
Joel McHale plays Joel McHale. But he does have like a few fun characters around him. And there are some fun animal-based jokes. There's 2 separate trucks in the depot. One with Joel McHale and one with another crew. And they both race to try and get to the scene of a special animal case, which is a goose that's escaped, because they both want to go on a wild goose chase. It's just a lot of that. So yeah, I thought it's enjoyable enough, but I wouldn't rush out to be watching it. And then Dylan, you watched a few episodes of The Pillars of Earth?
Yeah, I got sent the DVD, the Blu-ray,
Okay.
Blu-ray box set or whatever, which was good because, I mean, I'd wanted to watch it anyway, so now I'm sort of being forced to watch it, But basically, like everything in my life, if I can make it content, I'll finally watch it. So, because I never knew anything about The Pillars of Earth until that game 2 years ago, the one that Deadloch Entertainment did, of course, the developers of Golem. But this miniseries came out when did it come out? 2010 is when it came out. But I remember looking it up at the time when I was playing that game a couple of years ago and being like, fuck, there's some big names in this miniseries. You got Ian McShane, Matthew McFadden, Eddie Redmayne, Haley Atwell, probably some other people are missing, but like they're the key ones. Alison Peel, Donald Sutherland, actually, the other people. It's really good so far. I think I'm 3 or 4 episodes in, something like that. But the basic plot is, and the thing with all these, I would never read the books, but every time I read about these Ken Follett books, which apparently has a new one in this, like whatever he calls this set of books, which is like he makes it's real like history, but then like his fictional characters around it, but he tries to make it as real as possible, if that makes sense, sort of thing. And like he's been putting out these books where it's always like the descendants of the characters and moving it forward like another 150 200 years every time. And it starts with this, the pillars of the earth is like the first one in that set. But like so it's set in like the 11 15 or like something like that. You've got this this king that sort of comes in at the start of the series, played by who fuck plays the king actually? What's his name? I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name. But you got this new king who's a prick, and then you've got this waging war in the background because this show copied Game of Thrones copied a plot element from this series, which is that prior to all this happening, some 25 years earlier, a ship carrying the king's one son somehow went down in flames, and there was a bit of conspiracy around that. And then the king only has a daughter at the time, played by in the adult years as Alison Peel is the daughter, and she has a son. And the king makes everyone swear, like, you will follow, you will be led by my daughter in the event of my death until her son comes of age, sort of scenario. And of course, everyone's like, fuck women, they can't leave. Like that. Game of Thrones has done it literally a year ago, is what's happening here. And then she's, and then as soon as the king miraculously dies, hint, hint, poisoned, because always poisoned in these fucking, that's what they love to do. Well, they always backstab with poison, and they always like get handed, the kings are handed like things of mead, and they always just drink it, and they fucking fall down in these things, which is basically what happens here. So then you got this other prick comes in as the king. Alison Peel like sort of has to escape her own kingdom, and now they're waging a war in the background. So while this like massive sort of kingdom storylines happening, the majority of the show, because that's what's happening in the background, that's not the main story. The majority of this show is over in a little small sort of town, villa, whatever, I don't know what you call it, town, I guess. And you're following Philip, who's a priest, I guess, I don't know, he's religious dude anyway, like the leader of this particular town and the church. And then you've got another character called Tom the Builder and his family, and he meets this woman who everyone accuses to being a witch because she does medicine. And apparently in 1115 or whenever this is set, if you did medicine, you're a witch. You're like, like that's against God, whatever else. I'd burn her at the stake. Anyway, she has a son, Jack, who's played by Eddie Redmayne, and he was like a good builder of building and training. So then you got Jack the builder helping him, and this church goes down. So then they're spending a lot of time here trying to rebuild this church. And then you've got Ian McShane, who is basically the leader of he's not the Pope, but like he's the second, whatever he is, he's like in charge of all the priests for the kingdom or whatever. And he's a prick too, because he's constantly like wiggling around and making his moves to try and get more money out of the king. And I really don't believe this dude believes in God at all. I think he's just, he's more of a politician than a believer in God. Basically what I'm saying is, if you like your medieval shows without the dragons, and you love a bit of political conspiracy and backstabbing, then I would say the Pillars of Earth is for you, because I'm enjoying it so far. I mean, I already liked the story, having played that game. I was like, I like this. This is a very like sort of, it's weird that to make like a fictional story yet sort of treat it as everything in here is history. But I was like sort of down, and the way the show does it is really good as well. Obviously, you got a lot of big names in here. They all give really good performances. I don't love Eddie Redmayne. I don't love him in nearly anything I've ever seen him in, but that's just, I think that's just Eddie Redmayne, I guess. But everyone else is really good. Haley Atwell's really good in this. Yeah, I'd suggest it. So I'm keen to get through the rest.
Okay. Also, saw that you've been watching. You also got sent the DVDs of Round the Twist.
Yeah, fucking. I've been watching
How
Round
does
the
that
Twist.
hold up?
Surprisingly good, but maybe it's nostalgia because I don't know. Like, obviously, it's a ABC or whatever it was, BBC. Fuck, I don't know, whatever channel production show thing. So it doesn't have the biggest budget, and some of the special effects, obviously, like there's a ghost, and you can tell it's just a dude that they've like lowered the opacity on, like just made it a bit more opaque. It's fine, but I definitely feel like there's a combination of both my nostalgia for having watched this, coming home from school and Round the Twist was on, the classic absolute banger of a theme song, which I struggle to skip. I'm like, nah, I should just skip it this time. I'm like, nah, it's a banger though. Let's leave it on, What a good song. And then just the ridiculousness of each of the stories week by week, and what happens to these characters, and that just the thing of like, oh, there's a dragon in the cave, but it's real. It's not a bit like there's a dragon and ghosts. Like everything in the show just is it's not a, oh, we got you. It was actually a duck, and that character thought it was a dragon, but it wasn't. It would be like, it was a fucking dragon. And also there's really ghosts in the attic, and like all that sort of stuff. But the main thing it's had me thinking is, I used to watch this as a kid coming home, and I swear there's no way that this show would be considered a kid's show now, because there's both just a lot of adult jokes, sexual innuendo, not between the key characters, but the adult characters, and they're just the scare factor, the scariness of it. Like, not to say like it's a horror show, but there is definitely a lot of stuff played for scares and built up to be scary in certain elements and stuff like that. So, or even just like the like, there's an episode where the bit is that the kids basically discover like a different version of a genie, and they get 4 wishes, and then they use all 3, and then without remembering that they could use a 4th one, the sister says like, oh, I wish you could just not talk anymore, or I wish you could just shut your mouth, or no, I wish you couldn't open your mouth so much, or something like that, she says, very typical saying. And then the brother, suddenly he has like he only has like a really tiny mouth for the rest of the episode that he's like trying to cover up, which looks fucked up, and like so I don't know. Did you ever watch? Surely you did.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's certain episodes that spring to mind. One in particular about him desperately wanting to pee as high as possible on the pee trough, and then being able to pee over the top. Classic. And then there's the one about the frogs, and then there's a toad that eats all the other frogs.
Yep.
That kind of messed me up. Didn't like that. So
because it's the majority of the majority of the first 2 seasons, I think, and then the 3rd season he wasn't involved. But like there was Paul Jennings. Yeah, like they were based on his like short stories, and like he was involved with it and stuff like that. And if you've ever read Paul Jennings books, which I guess people read, surely anyone around our age as a kid would have read Paul Jennings stories. Yes. I don't know if anyone younger, like kids these days, probably don't know who Paul Jennings was, but reading Paul Jennings short stories,
like he does like still publish books and stuff.
Does he?
I don't know.
But do kids read books now? Like, you know what I mean? Like I had as a kid, I had all those volumes, like Unbearable, whatever books, right? I've still got them in a box somewhere. But
Gizmos.
Yeah, all those ones. And the stories are always fucked up. Like, and that's the thing with Round the Twist, I guess. It's similar sort of nature. No, it holds up. Good shit.
All right, good. Let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. I've watched the first few episodes of Fubar, the new Arnold Schwarzenegger TV show. He plays a CIA agent named Luke Bruner who, he thinks he's about to retire, but he's pulled into one more job in order to rescue a CIA operative undercover whose identity has been compromised. So he has to go undercover to visit the son of someone he previously killed to rescue the CIA operative. And it turns out that CIA operative, his daughter, Emma Brunner, played by Monica Barbaro from Top Gun Maverick. And then they have to work together to stop this evil arms dealer from selling a small nuclear suitcase bomb. The villain played by Diego Luna. So they have to work together. They have this small CIA team that's like kind of focused on getting this one guy. So of course, you've got Luke and Emma constantly bantering, and neither of them knew the other was in the CIA. So there's all this family conflict, to the extent where they even bring in a psychologist to help them kind of have therapy sessions with each other. It's fine. It I don't know. Yeah, it just
sold. It's fine. I love that.
It definitely plays out the way you think it's going to. Where Arnold Schwarzenegger's character thinks his daughter's still like his little girl, doesn't want her to do any of the dangerous stuff on the missions. Doesn't want her going on top of a moving train to stop this massive bullet train because she might accidentally fall off or something. It doesn't want her to do the honeypot or like trying to seduce the target and that kind of stuff. Wants her all in these frumpy clothes and that kind of stuff. Not gets upset when she's swearing and that kind of stuff. And of course, she's upset that he never told her about being in the CIA and was always away and pretending to be on secret missions, or pretending to be away on business trips when he was really like being a CIA agent or whatever. Also, Arnold Schwarzenegger's dream was that he would get back with his ex-wife, but she's started to date this new guy. So he's using CIA resources to keep track of this new guy, like see what he's doing, like spying on him and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it just feel. I've watched 3 episodes. It feels incredibly long, like unnecessarily long each episode. It kind of feels like it's dragged out. It just hits on so many of these cliches of these kind of series and that kind of stuff. You can definitely see where everything is kind of going. It's really weird. Her boyfriend is played by Jay Baruchel, who's just in the show for some reason. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be finishing this one. It's like,
well, it must be bad for you not to finish.
I mean, yeah, it's tempting just to. It does a solid job. They end each episode on a cliffhanger. They were just like, oh, maybe one more. Let's see how they get out of this one. But yeah, it's definitely far from Arnold Schwarzenegger's best work. So that's everything I watched history. Let's move into some film news, and we're going to switch things up. Let's jump into this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
This week we're doing our top 3 most anticipated films from the Cannes Film Festival. I mean, then we could like talk about some of the other projects that came out of there. So, Dylan, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is May December. So this is the I don't think this is supposed to be. It sounds like a fucked up comedy to me, but anyway, it's the new Todd Haynes film, in which I'm trying to find an official synopsis rather than me explaining it. 20 years after the notorious tabloid romance Grip the Nation, a married couple buckles under the pressure when an actress arrives to do research for a film about their past. So reading about it, basically the story is that Julia Moore's character goes to jail for having a relationship with an underage kid, and then so then 20 years later when she's out of jail and everything, then you've got Natalie Portman's character who's playing an actress who wants to come research her for a role, or study her for a role and stuff like that. It sounds very sort of like
messed up.
messed up, but apparently everyone was writing about it being weirdly funny, but like tongue in cheek, sort of how I was reading about it. So I'm keen. Anyway, it's been directed by Todd Haynes, which a big fan of a bunch of his other movies, including Carol, which I absolutely love, and I'm not there, of course, as well. So keen for this one, number 3.
All right. My number 3 is The Delinquents. So this is an Argentinian movie directed by Rodrigo Moreno. Synopsis: Morin and Roman are 2 bank employees that at some point in their lives question the routine life they carry out. One of them finds a solution, committing a crime. Somehow he succeeds and commits his destiny to his partner. The decision will lead to a resounding change in their lives to search for a better existence. It's been called the most banal, boring, low-key, laid-back bank robbery ever to be put on screen, in which he just steals a bunch of money and gives it to his co-worker to hide, believing that, him going to prison for a few years is better than working for all this money. So yeah, this sounds like a fun time. Just a weird setup and very good reviews coming out of Cannes. So yeah, that one is my number 3. Dylan, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is The Zone of Interest, the first film from Jonathan Glazer since 2013's Under the Skin. I don't know too. I didn't want to read too much, not to spoil stuff for me. But so the synopsis is: the commandment of Auschwitz, Rudolf Hoss and his wife Hedwig strive to build a dream life for their family in a house and garden next to the camp. From my understanding, it's supposed like it takes. So Glazer's known for doing sort of weird films, and it's. I read someone say it's definitely like his style on top of a World War II style, like Nazi family film, which sounds very weird and messed up at the same time. So very keen for it. The other standout thing coming out from Cannes for this one was it does star or co-star. I don't know if she's the co-star or star. I think she's the star. Sandra Hüller, who's also the star of the film that went on to win the what the fuck's the Palme d'Or or whatever the fucking award's called. I can't remember. Anyway, the film that won the major award, she also stars in. So shout outs there. That's my number 2.
My number 2 is a film called Robot Dreams. It's an animated film about a dog and a robot. So the summary is: dog lives in Manhattan and is tired of being alone. One day he decides to build himself a robot companion. Their friendship blossoms until they become inseparable to the rhythms of 80s New York City. One summer night, dog, with great sadness, is forced to abandon robot at the beach. Will they ever meet again? Yeah, just a lot of the reviews very positive. It's got a very old school, like it's 2D animated styled. Apparently it's told with very limited to no dialogue. And yet has been had an incredible impact on all of the reviewers. I think what was the line that I saw? Hang on. Described as a delightfully bittersweet animated wonder that embodies the medium's most purely cinematic qualities. Yeah, it sounds like a fantastic time, a really well animated project, and one that I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing sometime later this year. It was acquired by Neon, so whether that ever comes to Australia, we'll find out. Dylan, what's your number 1?
My number 1, I can't go past it. Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese's upcoming film. I cannot, this is, I don't know if there's anything else I care more about. There's a lot of movies I'm anticipating in the second half of the year, but this one, sure, I think is on my number 1 spot currently. I don't know. Maybe it's because I have finished listening to the book now, so I'm very much just at the stage where I'm I've got all these people's names in my head and things, and I'm just very keen to see how it all plays out on the screen in this big movie, which everyone's been raving about and everything. So yeah, that's my number 1.
All right. My number 1 is the Palme d'Or winner, Anatomy of a Fall, directed by Justine Triet, becoming the 3rd woman to ever win the Palme d'Or. Description: Sandra, Samuel, and their visually impaired son Daniel have been living in a remote mountain location for the past year. When Samuel is found dead outside the house, an investigation for death in suspicious circumstances is launched. Amidst the uncertainty, Sandra is indicted. Was it suicide or homicide? A year later, Daniel attends his mother's trial, a veritable dissection of his parents' relationship. It sounds like a fantastic crime drama thriller. And yeah, clearly a favorite amongst the judges at Cannes. So that was also acquired by Neon. Whether it gets here in Australia, we'll see. But it sounds
Neon
like
kills it at Cannes every year.
they do. They acquire the best films. Yeah. They get in early, get the big deals. They obviously acquired last year's winner, Triangle of Sadness, and that got a pretty solid release around the world, and obviously did well critically and awards wise. So hopefully, similar scenes here. Were there any other films that kind of caught your interests?
How to Have Sex was another one.
Yes.
That from reading about sounds definitely interesting. So the pitch, I believe, is like a 16, 17-year-old girl or whatever. Sort of the movie starts with a take on the whole, I just want to lose my virginity thing. But then it sounds like something happens. It's being directed by a woman, so I think it's going to have I assume it has something to say there about that age and society, and I don't know, something of interest. But yeah, I a lot of the reviews were positive on that one, so I'd say that would be my fourth, I guess.
Yeah, that would be on my list. Of course, Asteroid City by Wes Anderson, which people have said it's the most Wes Anderson film, but an elevation, the best Wes Anderson film in a while. So definitely keen for that film now. What else? Monster, the latest film from Koro Ito? Hirokazu Koreeda, who obviously did Broker. That looks like it's pretty fantastic as well. Lots of really good films. On the other end, we've obviously got the reviews for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which debuted there. Do we think it's going to make much of a difference that it's got
money-wise?
Bad? Yes.
No. I don't think it makes any difference. I think it was a weird choice to debut it at Cannes. Okay.
Well, I think they were expecting a more positive reviews.
Yeah, so I don't know if they had any mock reviews or they took time to have someone view it, or they were like, nah, fuck it, she'll be right. But
and then at the very other end of the spectrum was they debuted the first few episodes of the upcoming HBO series The Idol, which has been almost universally critically panned. It is sitting at a 27% at Rotten Tomatoes, so I mean that's higher than it was. At one point, it was like in single digits. So, what do you think? Were you interested? Because obviously Sam Levinson, creator of Euphoria, was this series something that you were anticipating? Or
I thought it looked bad, but I was gonna watch it anyway. So the reviews don't really sway me. I'm just so intrigued that I definitely have to at least check out the first episode or two so I can have my own opinion on it. But yeah, it's a very weird project where they've been build I think the first trailer came out like at the start of the year or something like that, and straight away you get the vibe of we're gonna be like edgy, sort of like tell this fucked up like story about the celebrity life and culture and whatever else, something like that. You could tell that's what they're going for, but then the reports coming out of just like excess of sex and drugs and all this sort of stuff. It does raise the question of, okay, so if you're doing like most of the negative reviews are saying that like there's nothing really to say here, it's just being edgy for the sake of being edgy. But I've seen other people say no, it totally worked for me, and I think the message is clear, and so I don't know. I really don't know. It is being universally panned, but I think it's just such an interesting project, especially since The Weeknd, or I think he's credited under his actual real name, which I can't remember, but he is like one of the creators of the show as well. Then you had all those behind the scenes talks about disruption on the set and all this sort of stuff, which they actually talked about at Cannes on the conference, and all three of them, between Lily, The Weeknd, and Sam like laughed off and said this like that's bullshit. Because apparently the three of them were supposed to be fighting, or I don't know. So then people are like, no, this is bullshit. Lily Rose Depp is just lying, and she's just like those other two were making
Taking
her say
advantage of
that,
it,
and
yeah.
there's a lot of stuff happening behind, like interesting stories coming out of this one. But I don't know what to believe. There's a bunch of he said, she said stuff happening. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when the public gets to watch it, how the reaction is going to be, because obviously, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. The other big story is that Netflix has finally followed through on their changes. Reading from explosionnetwork.com, after revealing they would soon be rolling out changes to how you can share your Netflix account in February, the changes are starting to take effect today, which was on the 24th of May. Netflix has announced that as of today, subscribers who are sharing their account with people who live outside their household will be getting emails about changes to the service. A Netflix account is for use by one household. Everyone living in that household can use Netflix whenever they are at home, on holiday, or on the go. Netflix will be using the user's IP so they know what is considered the home of its users. If you're logged into a tablet or phone, for example, you could continue to use Netflix on those devices. They simply need to connect to your home network once every month. Netflix has also added a feature today to accommodate those who may want to keep sharing Netflix. For those outside their house, account holders can add additional members to their account for $7.99. That'll enable those who live outside of your home network to log in and use Netflix with their account details. Dylan, what do you think the reaction to this change has been? Have you seen it?
Primarily a big old shrug from at least people I know and my Twitter feed. I haven't seen any huge thing. The most uproar I've seen is news headlines, but not actual real people seemingly caring.
Yeah, I think that's pretty similar. You see the headlines and then a few Twitter blue people underneath saying, "Oh, I'm not going to pay for this service,"
Yeah.
And a few examples of people who may be affected. But I feel like the most vocal people about this change are probably the people who were not paying for the Netflix to start off with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So,
and I mean, I don't know if this makes me sound like a bootlicker in this scenario, but like, I get it. Like I can't. We know that Netflix runs in a constant loss. Now you can critique some of their choices when it comes to what shows and stuff and what they choose to put their money into and whatever else. But as far as like as a business solution, as a way to sort of help get some more money in, I mean, being like, hey, how about the people who don't live in a house pay for their own Netflix? I don't think it's a hot take. I don't personally think that's too hot of a take. Like,
no, yeah. If the one requirement is that you go to that location once a month,
you could still definitely get around it. If you want to put in all that effort to not pay for Netflix, you could get around it.
Yeah, I'm sure you could find some VPN fix that, makes it look like you were at that one specific IP address, right?
Probably, yeah.
I'm not.
I think so, probably, yeah.
If you want to work around it, there's a way that you can probably work around it. But yeah, I feel like it's... Yeah, I guess we'll wait till the next financial quarter to see how many people actually do sign up.
Yeah.
As a result of this. Or whether it makes any tangible change. It definitely just seems like a public opinion kind of... Like, I've seen a couple of, I think, Prime Video, like, put out, like, a tweet.
Yeah, but so they take shots, and then they'll do this. They'll make the same choice.
They'll see how it does, and then...
And they'll do it themselves in, like, 2 years, and then everyone will make fun of them and, like, retweet that tweet, tagging them, and be like, was this you? You know how all this shit plays out. Like,
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. Wait and see how this plays out. Dylan, every week, we get so many news stories about casting decisions and news films coming out. We can't cover them all, so we like to cover them in a segment we like to call Would You Want to Invest? Segment, I detail a new project to Dylan, whether it's a new cast, new, a purchase, whatever. And Dylan tells me if he would want to invest in the project partially, fully, or not at all, and then history will be the judge whether he's right or wrong.
How do you have new projects to talk about? What is a strike on?
Bank scripts. There's all these scripts that have been written.
Yeah,
and
I guess. Yeah,
not many TV developments.
Yeah,
but films. All right. Euphoria's Hunter Schafer has closed a deal to star opposite Academy Award winner Anne Hathaway and Emmy winner Michaela Cole in Mother Mary, the pop music pick marking writer-director David Lowery's third for A24 following his acclaimed efforts The Green Knight and A Ghost Story. The forthcoming film to be released by A24 is an epic pop melodrama following a fictional musician and her relationship with an iconic fashion designer.
Reading about this the other day. Sounds amazing. Can't wait. Full invest.
All right. Rebel Wilson is set to direct her first feature, The Deb, a musical set in Australia that brings the bush into the city. The Deb is written by Hannah Riley and Meg Washington, based on a stage show that Wilson championed when it premiered at Sydney's Australian Theatre for Young People in 2022. Wilson also has revealed that she will also co-star in the film and told us that 2 songs not used in the stage production will be featured in the film. The Deb, Wilson explained, tells a tale of 2 young women from different cultures. One's from the bush and one's a cynical city girl. Both are searching for self-acceptance and a date to the Deb.
No, thank you.
Wow. Hate Australian film. Simon Rex is set to star and executive produce Operation Taco Gary's with Michael Quam writing and directing. Matthew Vaughn and Rotten Science will produce the pick. The film is an off-the-grid conspiracy theorist takes an estranged brother on a road trip with a secret agenda. Rex will play the role of Danny, who comes across as your typical conspiracy theorist, but we quickly learn he is a more complex character.
Nope.
All right. Zoe Colletti, Regina Alia, and Andrew Liner have joined Michelle Dockery in Destin Alan Spielberg's feature directorial debut, Please Don't Feed the Children. Please Don't Feed the Children, after a viral outbreak ravages the country's adult population, a group of orphans head south in search of a new life, only to find themselves at the mercy of a deranged woman harboring a dangerous secret.
There's no, nothing for that one outside the synopsis? Just the...
Directed by Destry Alan Spielberg.
Oh, this is her? Yeah, okay. I'll partially invest in this one. Yeah,
okay. Laura Marsden, Elsie Fisher, and Mina Savari set to star alongside Jason Priestley in Control-Alt-Delete, an indie drama marking East Siders creator Kit Williamson's feature directorial debut. Written by Emir Obinson and Arash Homenpour, Control-Alt-Delete follows disaffected teen Ava and her estranged filmmaker father Grayson as they try to reconnect in the aftermath of a tragic incident prompted by his latest movie. The film explores timely questions about the responsibility of media in our society and how what we consume profoundly affects us and the people around us.
Partial invest? Question mark?
Edie Gathke has been tapped for a prominent role opposite Robert De Niro, Lizzie Kaplan, Jesse Plemons, Joan Allen, and Connie Britton in Netflix's limited series Zero Day, the 6-episode conspiracy theory thriller from creators Eric Newman, Noah Oppenheim, and Michael S. Schmidt. Falling under a deal between Netflix and Newman's Grand Electric production Zero Day asks the question, how do we tell the truth in the world in crisis, one seemingly being torn apart by forces outside of control, and in an era rife with conspiracy theory and subterfuge, how much of those forces are products of our own undoing? perhaps even our own imagining. At the center of the narrative is De Niro's Mullen, a popular but complicated figure who was yanked back from retirement to head up a commission investigating a global cyber attack.
No, that sounds like that was a lot. You said a lot of words.
It was a lot.
Yeah. No.
Normal People and Where the Crawdads Sing star Daisy Edgar Jones is the latest star attached to Oscar winner Ron Howard's next movie, Origin of Species, which is a hot project at the Cannes market. The in-demand Jones is in talks to join the Buzzy project, which, as we told you before, already has Oscar nominee Ana de Armas, Oscar nominee Jude Law, and Golden Globe nominee Daniel Bruhl attached, and Oscar winner Alicia Vikander in talks to join. Based on two different accounts of the same true story, the film is being described as a darkly comic tale of murder and survivor set around a group of eclectic characters who abandon civilization for the Galapagos. They are searching for the answer to their ever-pressing question that plagues us all: what is the meaning of life?
I'm going to not invest. I don't know. I don't know about this Ron Howard director anymore.
Do you like the Thailand cave diving film?
Yeah, but his bigger movies are usually bad. Is how I feel. The bigger they go.
You love Solo.
Yeah, I like Solo. I would have another Solo. He was also just coming in as the fucking puppet
Fixer.
director. Yeah.
So, Hush, what's he done lately?
What has he done lately? Now, I don't know if I dreamed this, but I think I saw someone over there say that Alden Ehrenreich was basically talking shit on Ron Howard, unless I dreamt that.
I don't know. I didn't see that.
Okay. Maybe I dreamt it. Weird dream.
He did that Hillbilly Elegy movie, and then
Which got panned.
all the Da Vinci Code films.
Da Vinci things, which are shit. Yeah.
You did Rush.
There you
That
go.
was 10 years ago, though.
You know, if you make enough movies, you'll make a Rush. Is how it's
1883 breakout star Isabella May is set to star opposite Journey Smollett in the thriller Sunflower, which Misha Green is directing for Lionsgate in her feature debut. In the film, which the studio is fast-tracking for production, two women struggle to escape from a deranged college professor who holds them hostage on a remote sunflower farm.
I'll fully invest. I love me some deranged kidnapping movies.
Awesome. All right, last one. Lionsgate has taken worldwide rights to The Killer's Game, an action comedy package that has Dave Bautista set to star and JJ Perry aboard to direct. The studio will launch sales at the Cannes Film Festival, which kicks off tomorrow. Based on Jay Bonensinger's same name novel, The Killer's Game follows veteran assassin Joe Flood, who is diagnosed with a life-threatening illness and authorizes a kill on himself to avoid the pain that he is destined to follow. After ordering the kill, he finds out he was misdiagnosed and must then fend off an army of former colleagues trying to kill him.
That's a pretty good setup for a film. I'll fully invest.
All right,
it's pretty good. That's a pretty good.
That is a pretty good setup. Yeah. Hilarious. All right, let's give some time to trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers that we're about to talk about in this week's episode in the show notes below. Kicking things off, we've got The Color Purple, directed by Blitz Bazawul, starring Fantasia Barrino, Danielle Brooks, Taraji P. Henson, Coleman Domingo, Corey Hawkins, Her, Haley Berry, Arjuan Ellis Taylor, and Felicia Parsi. A musical adaptation of Alice Walker's novel about the lifelong struggles of an African-American woman living in the South during the early 1900s. Dylan, what are your thoughts on this musical adaptation of the book that was made famous kind of by Spielberg's adaptation?
Yes, I've actually never watched the Spielberg film. I presume you haven't either.
Nope.
Yeah. I like the trailer for this. I'll go double thumbs up. It's getting the Matilda treatment, and you know, it's like you gotta you got a famous movie.
Of course, it's also based on the long-running Broadway musical adaptation of the material.
Yeah,
But
it's like
yes.
it's based on a book, but also the adaptation of that was on Broadway. They've turned it into a musical, and now we're going to redo the movie. So it's not like a remake. It's like let's do it again, but musical. But yeah, it looks good. Coleman Domingo's in this, so it's probably going to be fantastic, and so is Taja P. Henson, so it's probably going to be fantastic. But yeah, looked good. I don't know anything about destroying this though, so yeah, it's just very. I don't know if the trailer says to play to the heart of people who already know the material or to people like me, but I was like, this seems very a lot more vibrant, colorful, and less sort of depressing than I assumed it would be, to be completely honest. But yeah, I'll go double thumbs up.
I'm going to give it 1 up, 1 down. I don't think it does enough to win me over as someone who has not watched The Color Purple as any attachment. I don't think it showcases it's a musical enough. It kind of like there's like a couple of fantastic elements into that, but yeah, I don't think you could tell that it's a musical really from this trailer. It's also interesting. I feel like maybe they purposely like showcased Haley Bailey,
Mermaid.
prominently in this trailer because Little Mermaid is coming out right now. Despite it appearing that she's probably not going to play a massive role in this film.
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. We don't know. Does the movie just do what? Like, does it start when they're kids and then go back, or does it flash forward and backwards? I don't know.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know
how. But yeah, I'm intrigued at the very least. So yes, The Color Purple is set to come to Australian cinemas on the 21st of January next year. Next trailer, Susie Searches, directed by Sophie Cargman, starring Kirsty Clemens, Alex Wolff, Jeff Gaffigan, Ken Marino, David Walton, Isaac Powell, Rachel Sennott, Jeffrey Owens, Alex Moffat, Dolly Wells, Kat Foster, and Jaron Gilman. Susie is an awkward college student with a failing true crime podcast. She seizes the opportunity to boost her popularity by solving the mysterious disappearance of Jessie, a campus heartthrob. With her star on the rise, events soon take a dark turn as she digs out the truth and finds herself in over her head. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer?
This is the only upcoming Kirsty Clemens film I'm looking forward to. No. Sorry, couldn't help myself. No, it looks. I'm going. Yeah, definitely double thumbs up. This looks just such a style to it, and at least the way the trailer portrays it. To have this film looks to have such a style and voice to it. Obviously, it's very funny that you've got someone who like wants to, they kidnap someone for all this and whatever else, and sort of plays into modern age sort of societal wants and needs or what have you. Alex Wolff actually looks really good in this, sort of playing the dumb idiot who got kidnapped. I don't know. And then also shout out Rachel Sennott is in it. Hopefully more than what's in the trailer, because she's only seen speaking to her where Susie's at her like job or whatever at the Wendy's or whatever it's supposed to be. But any Rachel Sennott and anything, I'm probably going to be down at this stage, to be honest. But yeah, I'll go double thumbs up.
Yeah, I'll give it 2 thumbs up as well. Looks interesting story. What do you think about them revealing like that she did the kidnapping?
I think it means it's obviously not.
Yeah, obviously
it's not secret. It's part of the movie that you need to know that she did it the entire time, because the movie's not about that reveal. It's about her.
But from that description I read out, you wouldn't know that.
You wouldn't, but I mean, the way the trailer plays it off, it makes it sound like she probably like
it's
the majority of the movie is after she fake saves him. So
yes, yeah, interesting. Again, another movie about podcasting. So
we were here first.
Were we there? I feel like a lot of these true crime project films were out a long time ago, but of podcasts. But yeah, interesting. Podcasters are a viable profession, apparently.
Stop trying to steal my podcast.
So Susie Searches releases in the US on the 28th of July. There is currently no Australian release date. Wah, wah.
Typical.
Next trailer, Hijack, created by George Kay, starring Idris Elba, Archie Punjab, Neil Maskell, Eve Miles, Christine Adams, Max Beasley, Kate Phillips, and Ben Miles. When flight KA-29 is hijacked during a 7-hour journey from Dubai to London, corporate negotiator Sam Nelson tries to use his professional skills to save everyone on board. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for Hijack?
What I'll tell you is this. This is a TV series? Really?
It is a 6-episode miniseries set to take place in real time.
Okay. I mean, I watched it and it came off like a movie, but all right, fuck me, right? I'll go one down then for my confusion. Or else I'm keen. Idris Elba's playing Idris Elba, I guess, and he's going to save the day, and that's very cool. I mean, it just looks like a typical sort of thriller thing, but at least with a bit more happening on the ground. And on the ground, I've got Eve Miles, so shout out to Torchwood. So I'm all about that. Also, Neil Maskell's in this, so I'm probably very keen. There's two British people I love seeing and stuff in this, so I'm keen for that. But I'll go one down. I mean, there's half the trailers like typical plain thriller thing, and then some other parts made me look like, oh, there's a lot more like espionage happening, and like maybe a little bit more than meets the eye happening here. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'll go one down. I don't think it like sold its premise particularly well. Like it does have that thing of the countdown of like every hour, so you could kind of get the hint that it's 24-esque of it's all taking place as it happens or whatever. But yeah, just from this trailer, it's hard to believe that it could sustain your interest for 6 episodes.
Imagine if every episode starts with like the timer ticking down. It's like really 24-esque. Maybe Buddy will watch it then.
Yeah, maybe. So he's the Black Jack Bauer. Crazy.
Yeah.
No, he's not going to torture anybody. He's a negotiator. Yeah, so this is releasing on Apple TV Plus on the 28th of June. Next trailer, Polomista. Directed by Julio Torres, starring Julio Torres, Tilda Swinton, Riza, Isabella Rossellini, and Greta Lee. Alejandro is an aspiring toy designer from El Salvador, struggling to bring his unusual ideas to life in New York City. As time on his work visa runs out, a job assisting an erratic art world outcast becomes his only hope to stay in the country and realize his dream. Dylan, what did you think of this trailer for Problemista, the new A24 film?
What I think is I'm never going to watch this because it's never going to release here. But outside of that, yeah, double thumbs up. Looks absolutely fantastic. Very weird, but so good at the same time. Obviously the message here is about immigration and the absurdities, and then you've got this stupid fucking Tilda Swinton character who's like, you don't even know what it's like to work hard for something. Meanwhile, the dude's like minus $500 in his bank account while just fighting to stay in the country. Like it's just it's sort of so on the nose that it's obviously it's meant to be funny, but I mean it's kind of sad at the same time, I guess is the thing. But yeah, I double thumbs up. It looks very, very good.
Yeah, double thumbs up for me as well. I think it definitely has a distinct look to it. On top of like the crazy immigrant story and Tilda Swinton being crazy. Yeah, directed by Julio Torres, who did created the show Los Spookies, I want to say, which was a show I heard on HBO. I think very well received, but only survived 2 seasons.
Writes the movie, stars in the movie, directs the movie.
Yeah. So, yeah, this looks like it'll be a very interesting time if it ever gets a release here in Australia. Yeah. Probably. We'll see. So yeah, Problemista scheduled to release in the US on the 4th of August. No Australian release date. Mm-hmm. Last trailer for this week, Barbie. Directed by Greta Gerwig. Starring Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, Kate McKinnon, Issa Rae, Hari Nef, Alexandra Shipp, Emma Mackey, Sharon Rooney, Dua Lipa, Nicola Coughlan, Anna Cruz Kane, Rita Ayura, Kingsley Ben Adir, Simu Liu, Scott Evans, Shooting Gatwa, John Cena, America Ferrera, Connor Swindells, Michael Cera, Helen Mirren, Jamie Demetrio, Emerald Fennell, and Will Ferrell. Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colourful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when they get a chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living among the humans. Dylan, we've seen some teaser trailers before of this Barbie movie. What do you think of this big main trailer for Barbie?
Yeah, I've watched it a couple times, and when you put the links in Chanty, and I was like, man, I don't need to watch this, but guess what? I'm watching it again. Double thumbs up. Absolutely looks like such a fun time. Having a better idea of what the idea of the movie is finally, I guess, like the core plot that surrounds everything, sort of helps put into perspective how the movie's going to work. Will Ferrell obviously playing the CEO of Mattel's, just like trying to put Barbie and Ken back in their boxes. Seeing Ryan Gosling just play the most absolutely naive idiot is hilarious, especially with the art, the stinger right at the end. Like, I need a doctor, I need a clicky pen. No, it's just all that sort of stuff. So good. Yeah, I don't know. It just looks so, like, it almost looks too good to be true. This movie to me, it just looks like perfect casting and ideas and whatever else around them. And I have full faith deep down, considering the writers and the director, that this is more than just fun Barbie movie. Like, it's obviously going to have something to say about, I think, Barbie as a thing among, I guess, history of like girls. And then there's the joke in it, like, we haven't played Barbie since we're 5 years old and stuff. And you've got old mate like slapping her on the ass, and like, obviously there's going to be substance to your Barbie, but it's also having a lot of fun with the concept. So yeah, I'm very, very, very keen.
Yeah, double thumbs up from me. Very funny, very fantastical world. It's crazy to think this is from the director of Little Women. Like, going from that to this, like, bizarre. But yeah, just it's crazy. This movie has kind of, like, it's got a life of its own, kind of. Like, as soon as this trailer came out, you saw all like the art copies of Barbie and Ken in prison, like copying that, and like it definitely feels like it's going to be a cultural moment, which is kind of crazy for a movie about a doll that's been around for like 60, 70 years.
I think it's well deserved. I mean, Barbie's definitely not as big now, but it, like, even when I was a kid, Barbies were everywhere. I barely see Barbies anywhere now, but Barbies used to be such a big thing, and Barbies have been a thing for so long, you know? So yeah, I'm not surprised that, like, when a Barbie movie comes out, there's like a buzz of this could this be something we care about? And then when it looks this good that people care, like,
it definitely kind of weirdly has the same kind of buzz that the Lego movie had. Like, wow, this is kind of like changing our minds about this toy product, that this is going to be a good movie for something that we thought was going to be a terrible cash tie-in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So this releases in Australian cinemas on the 20th of July. So definitely
month and a half away.
Yeah, can't come soon enough. Dylan, this week, what do you want to watch?
This week, it's a very easy answer. We should have the same thing up, assumably, which is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, of course.
Yes, it is definitely. There's not really
nothing else.
Really nothing else. Just in general.
I mean, the only other thing that's out is Boogeyman, I think.
Yeah, but the Boogeyman is coming out this week as well.
Comes out, which I would like to watch, but I mean, yeah, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse still.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse on the TV front. I want to check out Deadloch. That looks...
Yeah, that'll be my pick, but I've already watched it, but that's still my pick,
yeah. Here's my question. How do you think this Spider-Man movie is going to do financially? Obviously, the first one, like, it was kind of a sleeper film. How do we think it's going to financially perform?
I would assume it does very well. I think for everyone who the first one became such a big movie, especially towards the end of its run, that I'll be absolutely shocked if people don't come out to watch this one. I know we talk about like obviously cinemas don't do as well now, but what does well consistently are the big Marvel movies, the big superhero movies. Maybe you have the ones in between that not everyone comes around for, and they're like, "Oh, I'll just watch it when it comes to Disney Plus." But this doesn't fall into that. This is a everyone's coming out to watch this movie.
Okay. Here's the important question: is it going to make more than $120.5 million at the US box office?
What's that number?
Hmm?
Is that the last one made or?
No, that's what the prediction on Sportsbet.
Okay, right. Over.
Over. Let me just quickly look up what the first one only made. Into Spider-Verse made $384 million worldwide. You think it's going to make 120 first weekend in the US?
Yes.
Okay. Wait and see. All right. Let us know what you want to watch this week. How well do you think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is going to perform at the box office, or anything that we talked about this week by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump into Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, on Podchaser, leave us 5 stars, and you can leave 5 stars or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, throw us with $1, head on over to our Ko page at explosion.com/support. The other thing I'm looking forward to this week, season/series finale of Ted Lasso.
Me too.
All right, until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.